Are we live?
We are live.
So hello everyone, welcome to what could potentially be your best choice for a greater future. So Pragmatic Futurist. Yeah, this is a very exciting topic, and for me more so what's exciting is that Susanna is what I would say the institutor and the generator of what we're going to be talking about tonight, and sort of the lead creator of this, which is quite exciting. So should we just kind of kick off? And if you don't really know who we are, Susanna, you are a psychoanalyst, psychologist, and you're an author, and you're an amazing game changer, world changer, facilitator of pragmatic psychology and right voice for you. And if you could just give us a quick little idea of what you think you are to the world.
Oh, thank you so much for this amazing introduction, Graham. I love this topic, Pragmatic Futurist, and I love that you introduced me. So I'm just going to introduce you. Hey world, this is Graham Crosskill from South Africa and the world. And so this is indeed a creation that I started, and it is also something. So the reason why we both are here now is because Graham has this amazing awareness of creating the future and also creating the future with your business, and where your business can be a contribution to creating the future of this world. So this is a lot what Pragmatic Futurist is about. So I'm really happy that we both get to talk about this. And so Graham is also an access consciousness.
Did I disappear? No. Come back on. Hello?
Are we still both on?
Yes. It just
yes,
came back
awesome.
now. Yeah,
okay. Cool. Was I gone or? Okay, cool. We don't know. You're gone. Okay, now I'm back again. So back from outer space. So so Graham is this amazing entrepreneur, and so he is also an access consciousness facilitator. And somehow this whole creation of me asking for what else is possible for us to create as a future, and what else is possible for us to use our businesses and ourselves to create our futures. So somehow Graham and I started to create this together, and now we're asking what else is possible. So this Pragmatic Futurist for me was this big question of what else can we create as our futures and especially with our businesses. So because when you look at the past of how corporations and businesses are creating and are being created, it is a lot about immediate results and conclusions, and about getting profit, and about also seeing if the choices that they're making are actually creating immediate profit. And if you just tap into that energy, and if you maybe have your own business or have had some creations in your life, and if you are looking from the awareness or the perspective of creating your business from immediate and consistent results, that is one way of doing it. Creating your business from the awareness of what greater possibilities can my business and I create for us and the world, that's a totally different playground. So this is something that I was looking at for me, and that is something I would like to invite the world to, of what if your business can be a contribution to creating a world that we all would like to live in.
Yeah. You know what was really interesting, that what you said there for me though was, I think you kind of, with one word, you described what a pragmatic futurist actually is.
What did I say?
it's creating the playground of the future.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're looking at what currently businesses have become, no one has fun. No one enjoys what they do. And I can pretty much guarantee you that 98% of people do it because they think they have to. So there's actually no choice in their world. When you look at the energy of Pragmatic Futurist, it is that. It's that playground. It's that, what would I like to bring into my world? And what can I choose today that will actually allow that to actualize? Which is a
Yeah.
very different way of well, playing in the world. So how, for, let's say this is the first time someone's sort of looking at Pragmatic Futurist, and whether they have a business or not, like, what would the actual value per se for them to be, okay, I'm going to bring this into my corporation, I'm going to bring this into my company, or I'm going to introduce it to my boss? What would the value there be for them?
I love the question, and I love how this interaction is actually not staged. We just came here 5 minutes ago, and we're like, okay, let's just see what comes up as we talk. And so this is a lot how you could actually create your business, where you like the value in creating as a pragmatic futurist is where you don't need to be stuck in the order of the consistency of results, but you can actually allow the chaos of infinite possibilities, which sounds very big and amazing, and it's very practical. It's like, if you make a choice. Do we have a background noise? Are we okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you actually make a choice in your company of when you're creating whatever result or whatever choice you're making, you can look at, so what will this look like and what will this lead to, and you have to have a lot of conclusions in place of, will this pay off, is usually the question, which usually creates a lot of stress for yourself. It creates a lot of stress for the people you work with. It creates a lot of stress for the whole company, because everybody has to work and do to make sure that the result that's been as a target, as a goal, actually, it's not a target, it's a goal, that this has to be achieved. And if not, there's something wrong. Either we didn't work hard enough, or the employees didn't do the job good enough. There's always this perspective of wrongness. And this is something that creates a lot of stress for the company, creates a lot of stress for the employees, for the boss, for everybody involved. And everybody looks at the wrongness rather than what is the potential creation that hasn't been acknowledged. And so Pragmatic Futurist is where you go, what is it actually that this company could create for the world? So it is where you start to include the whole world in everything that you're creating, which makes, as we said before, it makes this playground way, way bigger, where all other aspects, not only your company, but every other company, every part of your company can actually contribute to the choices that you're making. So the thing, like the perspective becomes way, way bigger when you ask, so what contribution can my company be to me and the world? What contribution can my company be to creating a sustainable future on this planet? And opening at that perspective just makes it easier to create, because you're at that same moment including the whole world to contribute to you, and your level of receiving becomes way, way bigger. And you can have this perspective if you just make it practical in your own life. If, like, looking at if you don't have a company, this is maybe not so easy to grasp right now, but if you look at your own life and you look at the choices you make, where you go, oh, okay, I have to accomplish whatever it is in whatever area in your life it is, and you look at, you have to, let's say in your relationship, if you have a partner and you have a point of view of how this should look like, how your relationship should look like, and you have a fixed point of view, then everything that doesn't match that has to be wrong. But if you don't have a point of view that your relationship or your family or your kids, that this should look a certain way, that everybody should be behaved, everybody should just be nice to each other. If you don't have that fixed point of view in your world, then suddenly whatever shows up that might not match that point of view can actually be a contribution. And your family, your relationships, your relationship with your kids can actually thrive, rather than you constantly thinking, oh, if I have a good, right family, it has to look this and this and this way. And the same with businesses.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's kind of like that willingness to be a pragmatic futurist, that willingness to be present with every question you have and be present with every choice that you make, is sort of like the first step in creating your future. And where you're going is like the next step is to get out of that point of view of what it looks like. And it's quite interesting for people who are not really used to that, particularly in business, because our world is filled with the 7 steps to be successful and the 5 steps to not be a failure. The thing is, though, you build your business and you build your life in a very unique way. There isn't anyone who has the right information for your world and how it works, but neither do you really. So if you could blank out your future and be pragmatic about what you are today, that would actually allow you to then receive and invite stuff that you didn't even know was actually possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go for it.
So, you said like the pragmatics of it. So pragmatic, just so it's clear, it actually means you do what works. You don't do what you think is the right thing to do or avoid the wrong choice. You go, okay, so in this moment, if I make a decision for my company, what actually works for me? And it's the same when you start a company or when you already have a company. I talked to so many people lately who were in that start of, should I do it? Should I make that jump? And they were constantly looking at, oh, is this really the right choice? Am I going to lose money if I make that choice? Which is always something that's so much in people's heads and minds, that potential or actually risk of losing money. And so from that place, they couldn't make up their minds, because it was the whole time about should I stay or should I go, as their theme song. It was not about actually, okay, what do I know here? If I make that jump, if I actually create my own business, what future will I create? And when you ask that question, there will not be an answer of, oh, this is a right choice or it will create a lot of money. You actually don't have that information when you make that choice. But when you ask, if I create my own business, what future will I create? And if it brings up what you, Graham, said in the beginning, if it brings up that enthusiasm and that joy of, wow, I actually somewhere in my world have a knowing that I bring something to the world that is a gift, that is a contribution, that will open up something with the products I bring to the world, with the service I bring to the world, whatever it is, then what if you celebrate and cherish that knowing, rather than going into that ordered point of view of, wait a second, like that most people probably will impel on you. Well, you have to be logical, you have to be realistic, you're not going to make money before 2 years into the company, if at all. Like if you like, those two are totally different universes. The one is that enthusiasm, that joy of, wow, I bring something into the world that this world so requires, with the uniqueness that I be, with the ideas that I have. And you sense that amazing big playground. And then probably if you speak to someone that's more, that has that orderly point of view, that ordered world, they probably will have points of view like, no, be careful and this and that. And then what if you cherish and celebrate that enthusiasm rather than right away go into that rightness of the order that is so often impelled on us when we create something new, when we create something that hasn't existed before.
Yeah, and so there's two things. Like the one thing I often get asked the most is like, how do I sell so easily? And like, well, it's actually quite interesting because since we've been, since using the tools of Access to create business, clients pretty much fall on your lap. Okay. But what's interesting about it is the thing that you're saying is I always say to them, enthusiasm sells.
Yeah.
You're not trying to sell a product. You're not trying to sell an idea. What you are is you kind of selling the future possibility of what that can bring to someone. So what that brings up for me though is for a lot of people, it's quite a difficult concept to get that they actually have a contribution to the future.
Yeah.
So how would we be able to kind of look at bringing people to acknowledge that yes, their choices create, and
Yeah.
therefore, yeah, sorry, yeah, you get what I'm saying,
I,
yeah.
lo- I love that question of because I think most people have no clue that what they're being or what they're selling, whatever it is, whether it's a service or a product, that this is actually creating a future and that is actually valuable.
Yeah.
And it's the word you mentioned is acknowledgement. And one clue of getting there is, again, that if you have a certain, whatever it is you do as your business, a product you sell or a service you provide, if you in your world, when you think about that product or that service, have a certain, like this enthusiasm, that joy, that tingling, whatever it is, then what if this is indication enough that this is actually contribution? What if you don't need more proof than that? And this is where you can acknowledge, wait a second, if I, like when I think about the
Hmm. No.
and back again.
There we go.
Yeah.
What actually just happened there is we actually went into the future to go answer all your questions in 20 years' time, where everyone's asking us in an interview, how did we know all of this stuff already? That's where we were. Sorry, guys, we just had to take a quick break.
Back from the future or
Yeah.
forward, yes. So the acknowledgement comes from, if you think of your product or your service that you provide, I'm just going to repeat it again because I'm not sure what part you heard. If this is bringing up joy and enthusiasm in your world, what if this is the acknowledgement that this is indeed a gift to creating the world and the future you would like to see on this planet?
Yeah, and it's quite interesting, but it is just a choice. And I know, we hear this all the time, and it is so frustrating sometimes. But what I mean by that is it's similar to what you were talking about earlier, where you can get out of the projections and the expectations and the rights and the wrongs and the order of it. What if you could just acknowledge it for you? And it doesn't matter if anybody else ever acknowledges it, but for you, you acknowledge it. That's really a great place to actually just start creating your future.
Yep. And it's like great cooking, and I find it a bit funny that I talk about cooking, but the few times that I cook, let's put it this way, it's like you can cook from the order of a cookbook, right? And you can go, I want to use, okay, I have to use these ingredients and these amounts of ingredients, and then I can put my meal together. That's one way of cooking. Or you go, okay, which ingredients would I like to use? And which one would I like to use now? Which one do I know will increase the flavor of this meal? And what amount, and what, like, you use your knowing, you use like the things you have at home, and then you create this amazing meal, and then you let yourself be surprised of what shows up. But it's like this is the adventure of creation, rather than this ordered point of view of this is how business has to look like. This is how this is like business done a la this reality. What if, like, and I can speak from personal experience, because when I created my business, which is so funny, I just went to my tax person and he said, do you even know how much more money you make than normal people? And I'm like, no. And he actually acknowledged that, because I didn't acknowledge, but he acknowledged that my business is thriving. And that was so cool, because I have never learned how to do business, which is right now I'm really grateful for, because I did not learn the conclusions of doing business. I learned it by doing. So I learned marketing by doing, social media, bookkeeping, like every single, there's so many parts and pieces to a business and to creation. And I had to learn all of them, not from a point of view of how it is done, like business as usual, but what do I know? What do I bring to the buffet and to the possibilities? And then every choice creates awareness.
Yeah. What you say there, though, is so fascinating to me, Susanna, because, I watch your business, and I'm always so fascinated by the way in which you create it, because like you say, there is no form and structure. There is very little order, but yet you do thrive. But there's something, and this we kind of had a little bit of a conversation about, there's something that you have, and that you be with just your life and yourself in general, that is very much about pragmatically creating your future. But what it tends to do is it invites so much more into your present. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. And I know you asked me that question before, and it's like when you actually create not from how you should create, like, oh, for example, in this world, if you create a business, if you want to be successful, you have to have a web page, you have to have business cards. And when I started out, I didn't have those parts. I didn't even consider them, because it wasn't fun for me to have those. I basically just started. I started providing the services I provide. I started to just go, it would be fun to have a graphic on Facebook right now about a class I'm doing. And not only fun, but I also knew pragmatically, as you say, I knew that at that moment, to create the class at that moment, what was required was a graphic. So I created a graphic, which created more. I didn't have a web page. I didn't have business cards, but I went and was in every moment in the question, and I'm still like, that's how I create now as well. In every moment in the question, okay, so what is required now? Not what do I have to create for this to be a real business, but what is required right now to expand this creation beyond what I can control. So it's this acknowledgement that, let's say, if you create a class or whatever service it could be, it has this life form of itself. Like every business has a life form of itself, and you can sense that. Like the big businesses in our world, if you want to invest in their stocks, you kind of sense what this business is about. You might not have any information. You might not have read any information online about their targets or goals or whatever, 5-year plan, 100-year plan, whatever they have. You might not have read it, but you sense that, oh, the energy of this company, oh yeah, I like that energy, I'm going to invest in their stock. Because you somehow sense, oh, this could be a sustainable, company. And so, and there's actually an article somewhere that I read that people don't invest based on information. They're investing in stocks of a company based on the sense they have about the company, how it feels to them, and if this company has a possible sustainability for the future. So this is how it actually works. You acknowledge the company as a life form, like it has its own way of living, and then you ask it to create a sustainable future for it. What does it actually require? Rather than what should I do for it to be successful and look good. So it's not about the form and the structure of it. It's the constant doing what works now, what's pragmatic now. Pragmatic means what works to create the future.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that, the it's one of the things that you mentioned there was really, like, as you talk, there is no point of view of how it's going to turn out.
No.
And I think that's one of the most sort of kind of vital parts about being a pragmatic futurist stuff and being a creator. That is generally the major killer I get of business. It's just trying to figure out that if I do this, then this should show up. And 99% of the time, if I do this, it never shows up, So, it's a lot easier, isn't it?
It is, and it's exactly that thing. What we have been taught to do to have a good business is to make sure that we have the order of it's basically this, let me just see what the word is. It's like this impelling, is that the word in English?
Impelling or imposing?
Let me see, it's impelling. Okay. Yeah. So it's where you impel where you impel the order of the consistency of a result, right? So you think that if you, let's say, create classes as your product, you think that if I create this class, this has to make me money, and I have to have a plus. And if I create the next class, I have to have a plus. It has to, like, this consistency of the result. If you have decided a good result for your business is money, for some it's amount of people, for most it's somehow to do with money. So if you think that you should achieve a certain result, let's say make money with every choice you make, then you are playing a really tough, rough game with yourself and your business. Because what you're impelling on your company is the order of the consistency of results. So you basically say, if I don't make money with that particular class, then I have failed. So you're constantly impelling failing on your business, rather than the creation of this chaos of, okay, so if I have this class, let's say there are not as many people showing up as you have decided is successful. And if you still ask, okay, if I create this class, truth, what future will that create for me and the planet? And if it somehow like opens up and you sense, wow, okay, I don't get the logic of that, it doesn't make sense in my head, but who cares? I somehow sense that it's somehow opening up now and for the future. Then what if you acknowledge this as the success? And then also ask for money, but don't make money the primary order that limits your business.
Okay, so let's talk a little more about this order.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, let's go into the chaos. It's very exciting. But what I'm looking at here is like, okay, so there's going to be an executive, a CEO or whatever, looking at this hangout.
Yeah.
Right? What does that mean to them?
So as an executive, you usually try to control, like not all of them, yeah, but that's usually so. If you're an executive position somehow, or the CEO, or somehow being this is my company, I have to check that everything is going the way that I would like it to go, then you have to impose a lot of order. You have already a lot of fixed points of view, a lot of reference point of what is right, what is a good result, what is a right result, and what's a wrong result. And if you just go, how much freedom and space and liberty is this giving to you and the company to go beyond those boundaries that you're trying to control? It's like you have to be. I'm also a psychologist, so in psychology terms, it would be where you're constantly paranoid to make sure that that you're not failing, that you're not losing. So you constantly have to have your boundary, your walls up. You have to defend yourself against possible threats. They might not even be here yet, but you even in your mind go, oh, what could go wrong? Okay. Oh, this could turn out bad. So you're constantly playing mind games with yourself, where you have to defend yourself against possible threats, rather than use your brilliant mind to creation beyond those boundaries that your company hasn't even gone beyond.
That's such a brilliant way of putting it, and yeah, it explains so much. And what was really interesting is looking at this order chaos. I've got a class that I do sometimes called the warmth of commerce, and in that I explain to people, again, it comes to the 21 steps to be successful. If I look at the guys that I see are like these creators, these creators who have changed industries and literally changed the world, like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, these kind of guys. For me, there's only one key to their success. They never ever knew what it was going to look like.
Yes.
And when you don't know what it's going to look like, you can't go into the paranoia. You can't try and figure it out. You just follow that pragmatic step, and there's a future available.
Yeah.
And you can just keep creating that. Yeah.
And that's so brilliant. I love that you bring that up, because it's like you don't know how that future will look like. You know that you're creating the future, and you don't know how it's going to look like. And that's the adventure. That's true creation. It's not just defending against possible threats. That's actually right away with that choice to create that future. You are not considering threats and hinders and limitations. You are in the creation. And if any limitations come up, you are more prepared than when you're paranoid.
Yes.
Because you're actually so present with the future that you're creating.
Well,
and now I cut out again.
Yeah. What are we gone again? We'll sit still so it looks normal.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Where's it? No? Was that a teaser? Oh, there we go. Cool.
I'm here. I was in the future again.
So yeah, like the interesting thing about that, and I kind of lost a bit of the train of thought there, but it's like there's kind of like there's this every time when you're willing to be present and you're willing to be out of the order and be in the chaos of creation of your business, what we consider a hurdle or a problem, every single time turns out to actually be the gift that we've been asking for.
Yep. And there are no problems anymore. Every problem becomes a possibility to change and to expand.
Yeah. And it's so cool, because also like if you're creating a new sort of project or you need to do a presentation or whatever it may be, it's so brilliant when you're willing to be with the energy and you're willing to like sit with the question and be pragmatic. Because when it's heavy, when your body feels tired or you really don't feel like doing it, you don't do it. There's no force. It's just like, okay, when the time is right, you'll be like all of a sudden this moment of like, boom, okay, and you create and you sit back like 20 minutes later, you go, damn, that was good, you know? Yeah.
Totally. Hey, what just comes up is I can feel some people now and in the future watching this going, but how do I choose then? You know, like, and I think so many people are in this, but there must be a right choice or decision, and there must be a wrong one. And if I go down the wrong track, I will lose. So do you want to talk about this?
Yes. You're already losing with that train of thought, to be honest. And it's got you to where you are. And is it really working for you? So, you know, the one thing with that I've sort of acknowledged with business, it's the only time you're really like vulnerable to failure is when you're not willing to be aware. You know, and like it's just do it. Just make a choice. Your choice creates, and then allow the possibilities to show up. Not order it, like you're saying, so that it becomes what you think it should be.
Yeah, totally. Brilliant, brilliant. Yes, and I know both of us know that choices we have made where it, you know, it looked like, okay, in the short run, it was a loss. Let's say you made a choice, easy peasy, what could be an example? Oh, you hire a person who, well, I've had some people who did graphics for me in the past, and it just didn't work out. It just like they created stuff that it just didn't work out with the company at all, and it cost a lot of money. And the thing is that it looks like a loss of money in the short run, and you could go, oh, bad decision, you know. But that choice every time, like magically somehow, even though it was a loss of money in the short run, it gave me so much information of, wait a second, what kind of graphics does my company truly desire? Like I got so much more clarity, like exact clarity on what kind of marketing and how I would like to go into it and what's actually required that I didn't have before. Because it was not that the designer was bad, it was also that I wasn't clear on what my business actually required. Because it's always both sides, and that's what I love about business. You get the insight of so many things, not just the content of your product or the delivery of it. It's also things like social media and marketing and graphics, and learning every part is so much fun. And just seeing that with graphics, it would be a communication of you, what does your business require, communicating that information to the graphic designer, and the graphic designer being brilliant on their end as well. But it's that big picture. And through that choice of having those people work with me, which cost me a lot of money, which could be seen as a loss in the short run, was actually a huge opening to so much information of what else I needed to change and what the company required that I now have. And now, thanks to Graham, things are actually way, way greater than before.
Yeah, and I love it. You know, it's kind of like the essence of Pragmatic Futurist, where every choice inevitably always creates more.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. Like now, a similar thing where we've been creating some really nice brochures for our marketing company, our media company, and you know, it's when we design, we get really stuck into it. So it takes us a long time. So we've been doing this for about almost 2 months, and they sent me the final draft today, and I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I would never choose this. I would never allow this for my business. But there was an energy there because I had no point of view about it. I was able to pick up that there was something available in this. And I asked some more questions, and what actually showed up is this design had actually been designed for a different market. It was so, yeah, which was, how different is that, you know? So it wasn't the market that I'm used to, where my points of view sit in. It was actually now there's a whole different market that's been opened up for us, and it suits it perfectly. So we're like, okay, cool. Let's print 20 and put it into that market, and we'll design another set for a different market, you know. And this is something also that's quite interesting about a pragmatic futurist and what you were looking at earlier in terms of relationships in other areas other than business. You know, and it's one thing that I remember Gary Douglas saying is, you know, you stay with someone, why do you share the same toothpaste? Get two toothpastes. You know, like small examples like that, it'll actually contribute to your life and make so much more ease. That's really the simplicity of the pragmatics of it.
Yep. Do what works and do what creates the future you would like to see in your life and the planet.
Awesome. So where does Pragmatic Futurist fit in, and how do people bring this into their company and into their world, or even if they want to get their company started, where would they go from here?
So I would start and continue by expanded clarity on what you would like to create and what works for you. So all of us are very good at doing what is right and avoiding what is wrong. We've all lived in this world for a long time or middle long time and been handed the menu of this world and how things are done and how business is supposed to be done. So we all know that very well. But what most of us haven't really discovered is what you bring to the table, what you bring to the smorgasbord, to the buffet that hasn't existed before. And this is the question you want to ask. What do I know? What do I bring to the table that hasn't existed on this planet before? What's fun for me to create? And also the clarity of what would I like to create? Because you can look at what others do that can give you the clue of what works for you. But even if you are in the same niche, if you even have the same, if maybe you're a hairdresser and there are many other hairdressers, yeah, but that doesn't mean that you are that you have to do hairdressing as usual. You can ask, what do I bring to the table? So, well, you know, I also founded Pragmatic Psychology. And this is something that I started with during my years as a clinical psychologist in psychiatry and mental health in Sweden. I worked there many years, and I was trying to do business as usual, was trying to do psychologist and neuropsychological testing and therapy as I was taught. And I always knew, wow, I have a sense I bring something different to the table, and I'm ready to find out. So I asked those questions. This is how I started of, what do I bring to the table that hasn't existed before? What do I know? What can I explore here? And what change can I bring here? And what future will this create? And this is how Pragmatic Psychology got created. And that's now out there in the world with the book and the business and this and that. And it's working, it's thriving. And how does it get any better in this? And it all started with exactly that question. And there are many psychologists. There are many hairdressers, there are many lawyers, there are many doctors, but every single one of you knows something and can change that business that you're in a way that contributes to the world. So I would say everywhere you've given up that knowing, everywhere you have not considered that you actually do bring something that hasn't existed on this planet before, will you give that up, please?
Yes. Cool. So what I would like to invite everyone to is your new creation, Susanna, and you know what you're saying is really, it's just such a wonderful step. And if you would like to exponentialize that and for the first time really choose to create your future, there's a very exciting website that is being launched. And so we'll give you the name now, but this is where you can connect with Susanna and you can really start to create the future that you've known since you were a little kid, that it's possible now. So would you like to give the name out?
Yay! It's www.pragmaticfuturist.eu.
Ooh, even that sounds, the energy on that is so cool. All right, so we'll be sending it out and putting the links in there, but really visit the site, get the sense, get the energy of what this could be for you in the future. And as you can tell, you wouldn't want to have, this bundle of enthusiasm and joy and expertise sitting with you, sort of right by your side, going, let's actually invest and commit to a greater possibility and a greater planet. And that's really what you deliver, Susanna, and that's really what you offer. And I'm very excited to see where this all goes.
And that's exactly the question. And what if you all in your creations, what if you don't have to have it all laid out of what your business and your choices exactly will lead to and how this will look like? What if you just start? So Pragmatic Futurist per se is I just created this for the fun of it, just as an invitation for creating the future that works for you, including you in it, and having what your creations, your company, and all your creations, whether it's your relationship or your business, be something that creates your future and the future we would like to see on this planet. And this whole creation with the webpage, it is done for the fun of it. And where it leads to, how it looks like, I have no clue. I just have fun with this now. And I hope that this page, which is so beautifully done by Graham, is just by being with it and checking it out and the energy of it, maybe this inspires you to being the pragmatic futurist you truly could be.
And, what if it just takes one choice to change the world?
Yes.
And I think this is really what you're getting invited to. And it doesn't mean that everyone's going to be affected by that choice. It means that your world changes, and your world changes, the whole world changes.
Totally. And while we just talked, I just had this, we would love to have your feedback. If you have any comments on this hangout or on this creation, since this is done for fun, we would love to have your comments on it and your questions, or if you have any ideas of what else is possible with this, hey, let us know. We all are creating the future.
Brilliant. Cool. Susanna, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Graham. And cheers to all our brilliances.
Yes. And what else is possible?
Yay.
Cool.
Awesome. See you another time, everybody. Bye.